Hello, everyone. I'm out. I'm in Dallas, well, Cedar Hill, and I'm at the Cedar Hill State Park. It is beautiful. This is my first time here, just walking. And what made me stop to do a video is the conversation I was having. But let me back up. I came here to walk because this morning I was just going to stay home, read my Bible study. And honestly, I just felt like the Spirit was just telling me to get out and go for a walk. So I got out, came for a walk, went to Cedar Hill Preserve. They were not open. So I Googled the next trails and I came here to Cedar Hill, Texas State Park. And they are actually celebrating the Buffalo Soldiers today. So they had a whole artifact situation there. You can go to my Facebook page and look at it. And then they had painting in the park, which they did the state of Texas with the yellow rose of Texas with the history of the yellow rose of Texas. And then I was like, let me go home because I'm tired, have a lot of things to do. But I decided to just continue with my walking. Well, you see the house behind me. I'm in the area of the state park where it talks about the Penn family. And yeah, I got paint all over my hand. But the Penn family here in Texas. And as I was walking, there's not a lot of African Americans walking around. But as I was walking, I heard children playing, and a lot of them were saying, "Oh, is this where the laborers worked? Uh, Slept? Is this where the labor works? You know, they just labor people." And I'm like, should we correct? Should I correct them because they're not laborers, they're slaves. Well, then, if you read the signs that are around here, a lot of them do say enslaved people. So then they start saying, wait a minute, laborers or slaves? So that made me feel good that a lot of area around here does say enslaved people. And then it tells that after the Civil War, how many of the Penn family then hired labor workers. But before that, it was actually slaves that they used to help build up this whole farming area. But as we was looking at this house behind me, there was a family that was here. And the child wasn't old enough to read. So the child asked the parent, the mom, what does it say? And why there a picture there? And then the pictures of black people, slave workers, or labor workers at that time. It all depends on when it was taken. And if you ask me, it's still slaves. And basically, she asked me, she said, how can you explain that to kids? How do you explain such stuff as kids? And at first, I didn't hear the child. I said, I'm so sorry because she's looking at me like how. Like I'm supposed to explain. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't even hear your child's question. And she said, well, how am I supposed to explain what this says about slaves? I said, the truth. The truth is that although the Constitution said that all men were created equal, they weren't here in the United States, and that they had to fight to get any partial portion of equal to be equal, and we're still fighting because racism still exists. That everyone should be treated fairly, but they aren't, and that my color does not make me inferior, and your color does not make you um, master. You just don't. And so she just said, "Oh, okay." And she said, "You're right." I said, "It's a fight. It's a fight, but it's the truth. We got to speak the truth to our history." And to our kids, you know. So she's like, well, thank you. And she looked at me like, is that too soon? When is too soon? I mean, seriously, she was serious. And I was always taught if they start asking questions, you answer it then. So the child could not have been more than 4 years old, which is a great time. Because if you think about it, about 4 or 5 years old, you guys, excuse me, because I've been walking. About 4 or 5 years old is when um, they were really start using them as slaves. They were playmates for the master's children. They were doing the chores for the master's kids. So I didn't want anything. It's just that it's Black History Month, February 2023, and I'm glad that this park has taken the time out to really uh, talk about the Buffalo Soldiers, um, how they fought in the war, and they used them to go, you know, fight the Native Americans, and the Native Americans. Yeah, the people that's doing the um the rendition of the Buffalo Soldier. One is Caucasian, one is Native. I mean, one is African American. So they were asking me the question, mainly the Caucasian. He was like asking questions, and so I was answering them, and he's like, have you taken this class before? Because he's like, how did they get their names? Who did they fight? Why did they get their name? And why did Native American name that when I answered the question? And he said, okay, why Native American name them the Buffaloes, But it was a great story just to sit and hear and listen to the story again, and artifacts, and then to go do the painting. It was great. But I know that's just for Black History Month. But however, I am going to say if you ever in Cedar Hill, Texas, come to the Cedar Hill State Park off of 1382, I believe, and just walk around. It's good. It's a good neighbor. They have fishing here. They have overnight camping, but I'm not gonna keep you long. I just thought that, you know, I'll post because that really did sit with me. Is that little kids are calling slave labor workers. But if the, let me show you, if the information wasn't really out there that said enslaved, they probably would have still been calling it labor workers, because I was waiting for the parents and the grown-ups or whoever was with them to correct them, but they didn't. And then as I was moving around to come next, because I was really hoping to start a conversation, they actually seen this here. Hope y'all can see it. And it might be, so yeah, they actually started reading that, wait a minute, these were slaves. Like, yeah, they're slaves. And you can't be upset because we got to tell the history. We have to tell the history. But anyway, I'm not going to hold you all. Just a quick little video. Wow, the baby said, what are they? Who are they? And she said, how can you tell them? And the sad part about it is our ancestors lived it. So there was no such thing as how can they tell us? We just did it. So this is here. It tells about the Penn State. It's nice. They have walking trails all over. I'm trying to get back into walking. I don't know if you all can see where I'm at, even back there. And they have some of the original shelters that was up, whether it was for the borns, for the animals and everything. But yeah, I just thought that was something because she literally looked at me like, okay, explain your history. But she wasn't being ugly. She wasn't being rude. She was really concerned on this little child asking her, who were those black people? Why were they there? And she was conflicted on, what do I tell them? What do I tell them? And I was glad that she asked. I really was. I was very glad that she asked. Um, so let's try to keep our history alive. When I say our history, I mean American history. America history. Hey, this is my painting. Look, this is all free hand because they didn't have an artist out there doing our outlining for painting in the park. But I hope you get to see it. Yeah, Texas. Last one to free the slave. That's a different story. Anyway, be blessed. Enjoy your weekend, your Saturday. This is my first time actually being out. As you can tell, the sun is out. We have really been um, having a lot of rain and a lot of ice. And I just thought maybe I'd get out today. And glad I did. Uh, anyway, have a blessed day. Enjoy. Remember our history, American history, African American history. Don't let them change the narrative, but let us change the narrative. Anyway, have a blessed day.